Hello everyone, before this episode begins, I want to shout out my aunt and her YouTube channel, Defining Deborah. While she may not do podcasts like myself, she does video vlogs about this thing we call life. If you're interested in checking her channel out, the link to the channel will be in my description box below. Give her a chance, will ya? Without further ado, let's get into this episode. Welcome back to another Western Reviews podcast. I'm your host, the Western Wonder, and today I have a triple movie review, reviewing 3 Blaxploitation films of the 70s, Dolemite, Coffy, and the Mack. On this episode, I'm switching things up a bit by focusing on each of the film's plots rather than their synopsis, followed by my thoughts and ratings, since most of the movies are straight to the point with their story compared to other movies I've reviewed thus far. If need be, go off and grab your snacks and enjoy the episode.
Warning, spoilers ahead.
Let's start off with the first movie, Dolemite. Now, there recently was a biopic about the lead star comedian of the film, and this movie definitely plays a big part in the biopic and the title itself. Dolemite is My Name from Netflix, starring Eddie Murphy in the role of Dolemite. Let's take a look at the real Dolemite's crew. The movie was directed by Dolemite Martin, who also stars in the movie, and the script was written by Jerry Jones, no relation to the guy who owns the Cowboys brand. Out of the 3 movies being reviewed, Dolemite has the honor of being the lowest budgeted film, only costing $100,000 and filmed in under 3 weeks. With a release in the spring of 1975, the film made over $12 million at the box office, meaning that it also has the honor of being the highest grossing film out of all 3 movies being reviewed today. As for the critical reviews, it'll probably reflect my own final thoughts of the film in a moment. Now let's just get to the quick plot of the story. The movie revolves around Dolemite, played by comedian Rudy Ray Moore. He's a pimp who owns a nightclub called The True Experience. Dolemite was headed by an arch rival, Willie Green, played by Dolemite Martin, and is serving 20 years in prison. A friend of Dolemite, Queen Bee, played by Lady Reed, bails him out in hopes of finally exposing Willie Green and his cronies' antics while dealing with pestering cops and other shady cats on the block. But there's no challenge Dolemite and his lethal hookers can't fail. Now on to my thoughts about the film. Dolemite is one of those movies that are so bad that it's good. The performances are very entertaining to watch. Rudy Ray Moore is a riot as Dolemite who plays him up to be the baddest cat with a cool personality that you could ever see. When it comes to the acting side, it may be lacking a bit, but regardless, it's still funny. The story is pretty much straight to the point and repeats itself at times if Dolemite is caught. He kills people, gets the hookers, and does his intricate rhyming.
Way down in the jungle deep, the lion stepped on the signifying monkey's feet. The monkey said, "Motherfucker, can't you see? You're standing on my goddamn feet." The monkey lived in the jungle in an old oak tree. Bulls in the lion every day in the week. Every day before the sun go down, that lion would kick his ass through the jungle top. But the monkey got wise and started using his wit. Started saying, "I'm gonna put a stop to this old kicky."
The camera work may not be all that desirable, and the film does have visible moonlight shots and continuity errors. Some of the sounds heard after people are killed on screen can get silly. For example, oof! Okay, that last part is a bit exaggerated, but still. Well, plus one of my favorite bits was Dolemite intimidating this one goon.
All right, hold it. Move, girls. Come here. Come here, girls. I've been wanting to see me a funky dance. Dance, mother. Dance. Dance. Girls, this mother has got rhythm.
Now, if you're wondering if Dolemite gets that bad old Willie Green, well, you can find out for yourself. The movie's available on Tubi at a limited time for free. There are ads, though. My rating for the movie. Good for the culture and laughs, pretty horrific for camera shots and continuity.
This is a Western Reviews transition.
The next movie being covered is Coffy. The movie was directed and written by Jack Hill. Alright, Mr. Hill, fancy double billing that you got there. While Coffy doesn't have the honor of having the highest grossing title, that obviously goes to Dolemite, like I mentioned earlier, it does have the honor of having the biggest budget for a movie out of the three being reviewed today. Its budget clocks in at $500,000. Released in the spring of 1973, the film made $2 million at the box office, while other sources say it made $4 million, so it's to be determined on whether the financial facts are true or not. The movie received mixed reviews at the time of its release. Most critics praised the performances, though one critic called lead Pam Grier's performance wooden, and another critic said that she read her lines stiffly. But then again, critics will be critics. However, popular director and producer Quentin Tarantino liked the movie and usually has it in his top 20 films of all time list. In fact, he liked it so much that Pam Grier got a role in one of his movies, Jackie Brown. On top of that, the movie has some prolific moments inside of it. A powerful black female lead that isn't struggling, but rather striving successfully in the film, plus an anti-drug message that was pretty much avoided in other areas of media at the time. With all that aside, let's look at the plot real quick, followed by my thoughts and rating. Coffy, played by Pam Grier, may work as a professional nurse, but she's also hunting for blood. Not just any kind of blood, but the blood of drug dealers who pushed her little sister into an ongoing drug addiction. With her looks, smart, and charming persona, and bonus secret weapon, her shotgun, Coffy, disguising herself, heads out to rid the city of these dastardly buffoons. Now for my thoughts for the movie. The movie is pretty low-key, but the storyline shows the best of Coffy's character. Playing the hard-working, tough woman, Pam Grier carries the movie as much as he could, and you could feel the energy and seriousness in her performance. The supporting cast of shady mobsters, drug lords, and anyone coming from Coffy's way is interesting too, even if their acting may look bona fide compared to Grier's. The action scenes were average, but the camera work has more to work with since the budget was bigger than something like, say, Dolemite. All in all, the movie's good. It has a message there for you to decipher, and like Dolemite, it's straight to the point with the story. You don't have to think too hard about this one.
Coffy, baby. You gotta understand, I thought you were dead.
This is yet another Western Reviews transition.
My final movie review for today is The Mack.
I'm sorry, Mr. Western Wonder, but you cannot use that song.
The movie was directed by Michael Campus and written by Robert J. Poole, with some script help from the two leads of the film. Released in the spring of 1973, the movie managed to make $3 million at the box office. And what's interesting is that the movie only played in 20 movie theaters across the US due to the belief that it would make more in black communities. The movie was received not so nice reviews at the time of its release, but once again, critics are going to be critics. Without further ado, let's quickly take a look at the plot. Goldie, played by Max Julian, is back on the streets after serving 5 years in prison. He immediately adopts this image, the Mack, a smooth-talking pimp. However, some hoodlums and goons are after him due to the pimp notoriety, so he has to use his backhand abilities to knock him out of the ring. So for my thoughts about the film. Just like Coffy, the messages of the film stem from the racial struggles going on at the time as Goldie tries to thrive and survive while his brother leads the pack of pro-black rights protests with the Black Panthers. The performances in this movie are very strong and giving us more subtle and dramatic approach compared to the other two films. I think the performances excel there. Julian is suave as can be, playing Pimp of the Year Goldie, going through the motions on how he can make his town safer and being confident in what he desires. The supporting performances range from mellow to menacing. Richard Pryor has a supporting role in here, and despite the behind-the-scenes story, I think he shows his best dramatic and emotional side here as Goldie's sidekick of sorts.
Punk! He a punk, Goldie! We gonna get him up! He a punk! Yeah! I'm gonna get him, Goldie! Goldie, we gonna get him, cause they pulled down on this man, they didn't use him, baby!
The racist cops play their role with Viger, and the brother plays his part, and other characters you must check out have their moments. The movie has been sampled in many ways through hip-hop records back in the 90s, so it's definitely has some sort of impact. At the end of the day, folks, these movies show true black excellence with stellar performances, stories, and messages everyone can find out for themselves. The quality may not be good with films in this Blaxploitation category, but at the end of the day, most of the people that worked on them had fun. And I hope you people out there check out these movies and have fun with them, because I think they are worth the watch. Next week, there will not be a new review coming, but I do have a skit coming soon in the coming week, so stay tuned for that. I'm the Western Wonder, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I recommend you check out other podcast episodes that I have out there, including movie reviews for Silver Streak and Ruthless People. They're good reviews, I would say so myself. I reviewed them. If you like the show, please share, subscribe, and follow. You can find the Western Reviews podcast on the following platforms in alphabetical order: Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, which is my main source for syndicating the show, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, and others. Follow the link in my description to get to these platforms. Without further ado, I'm the Western Wonder, and I'm heading out once again. Adios.